Okay, well, this wasn't what I intended, but it just so happened that he saw me come in and he was going to whine if I didn't let him in. So, this room is normally used as a guest room, and when my sister comes to visit, my brother in law, who's allergic to cats, will not have a very good time of it if the room is full of cat fur, but I'm not going to let this guy run around too much. This is Leo. Hey, look over here. Wow, look at how big and weird my hand looks. Perspective is weird, huh? This is Leo. He is 12 years old, or rather, he will be 12 years old at the start of April. I couldn't figure out exactly when his birthday was because he's a foundling, but I decided April 1st was good because he is an April fool, or fool at the very least. No, I just look like I have a big tail sticking out of my head. He's a American short hair, I believe. He's a mix. No, he's trying to get under the bed. But the story of how I found him is sort of funny. Back in 2006, my about to become roommates were moving into their new place, the place that I would then be moving into in a couple months after that, after they got settled. We spent all day moving. They treated us to pizza afterwards to pay us back, which was nice. And when I got home, it was like 11 o'clock at night. And this was in June. I think it was either May or June. I think it was June. And I get out of my car, and I just hear this little meow, meow. Faint as could be. Zoom this in a little bit. Faint as can be, and I'm wondering, okay, is one of my cats out? Because at the time we had a cat. My first cat had passed away very, very recently, I think March of that year. And I had no intention of replacing Mittens, that was her name. I was just content to say, okay, I had a good cat, she had a good life, and that's fine. And then I hear this mew, 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 and it's not the other cat. It's not the other cat having gotten out. Kitsy was the other cat's name. She stayed in almost all the time. Never really wanted out. Never wanted out in the dark. So this wasn't our cat, and it was a kitten. It was a little tiny kitten, and it was sitting in a bush right next to our property. And I've dealt with feral cats and feral kittens before. In fact, I was visiting somebody's house when I was a kid. It was quite snowy out, and there was a little patch of, I don't know if it was snowy out, actually. I just know that there was a patch of, like, blackberry bushes, which have nasty little thorns, and you don't want to mess with them. There was a little kitten hiding in those bushes, and I, being young and naive, was like, come here, kitty cat, come here, kitty cat. And this cat was just like, and tore up my hand, and I pulled my hand out of the blackberry bush and tore it up even more, and I just learned my lesson. If a feral cat doesn't want you near it, leave it alone. Don't mess with it. Leo, come here. Come here, buddy. But that's not what happened with this guy. Little tiny kitten, probably a couple months old, maybe only 2 months old, meowing in a bush. I go, okay, well, this is probably a feral kitten. Nobody in the neighborhood has a cat that was pregnant that I'm aware of. And so I go, here, kitty, 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 here, kitty, 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 kitty. And this guy looks up to me, looks up like, just like that. And he rolls onto his back and starts pushing towards me with his hind feet, purring the whole time. And I said, oh, great. What have I gotten myself into? I don't know if it's picking up on the mic, but he's purring pretty loud right now. He'd like me to pull the window shade up so he can look outside, but he's finding this whole situation pretty neat. Oh. As you can see, he's very affectionate. He always was. I brought him inside, and we had the cat carrier. We put him in for the night to protect him from the other cat who never liked him. Kitsy was pretty old at the time, and I don't think she lived more than another year. But Leo we determined was only a few months old, and that's when I decided April 1st would be his birthday. And despite not knowing where he came from, I went around to every neighbor within the radius around the house asking, do you have a kitten? Has your cat had kittens? Did this kitten get lost? No one did. I mean, I was honestly trying to get rid of him. I know that sounds pretty curmudgeonly, ogurely of me. I'm a bit of an ogre. I can be an ogre when I want to be. And I was trying to get rid of this kitten. Rather, I hated the idea that some poor kid had gotten this kitten and it had gotten free and they didn't know what had happened to it and they were worried that it was dead. I didn't want a kid to go through that. So I wanted to make sure that Leo, I hadn't given him a name. For the whole week that I was trying to get rid of him, I had no name for him. After a week, I said, okay, well, he can stay with me for a while. And one of the people I was moving in with was a vet technician. I figured if anybody could find a home for him, it was her. But eventually, my mother started trying to name him. That's when I decided to give him a name. She wanted to call him Hank because we had Mittens and Kitsy, and my mom was sick of these girly little names. They were both female cats, but she was like, "We can get this cat a manly name, Hank." And I'm like, Hank, short for Henry. I mean, that's an okay name for a guy. It seems a little uninspired for a cat. So I was watching a lot of West Wing at the time, and I had a lot of respect for John Spencer's character, Leo McGarry. And I think just a year before, or even that year, 300 had come out, which is the story of Leonidas Rex. And so that was what I chose for his name, Leonidas Rex, King Leonidas. King of the cowards. Leo's not a very courageous cat. He's Leo the Cowardly Lion most of the time. But he did do one thing while I was still waiting to move, so I didn't want him to get too settled in the house. We kept him in a bathroom that was being remodeled at the time. And I was sitting by myself in the house. Everybody else was out on a vacation that summer. And I was just sort of watching the house. And I hear a wham! And I go, oh God. I go back to the bathroom that's being remodeled. And I open the door. And one of the wooden wall pieces or whatever that we had stored in the bathroom, in the shower in the bathroom, had fallen over. And I thought, oh God, what has happened? I go, here, kitty, kitty, kitty. Here, kitty, kitty, kitty. No response. He's usually coming right to the door at this point because he associates opening the door with getting fed. And nothing. He hasn't come. I look around. I'm afraid to look in the shower. I look around under the unfinished tub, around the corner. Nothing. Here, kitty, kitty, kitty. Here, kitty, kitty. Nothing. Finally, I go, okay, this is it. This is it. And I lift up the wooden plate that had fallen in the shower, expecting to see a lot of gore, a lot of blood, and a kitty-shaped stain underneath. And instead, all that happens is this little kitten just goes, meow. And that was when I became convinced that all Leo was ever going to do was try and get himself killed and make me feel terrible about it. Which he hasn't done yet. This was all 12 years ago. Coming up on 12 years ago, this June. And he's been very good. He's done a little bit of property damage in his life. He ruined a lot of the carpet on the stairs in the place that we moved to. Carpet on stairs is really easy to replace, so I don't feel too bad about that. He really mangled one of the chairs when I moved back here. And I do feel a little bit bad about that, but that chair had been not terribly well thought of by people using it, so they didn't really mind having to replace it. Anyway. He's hiding under the bed now. This is the guest room, like I said, so it's actually dominated by a big bed. Turn this around again. As you can see, nice quilt, a couple stuffed animals for my sister, and my brother-in-law's pillow with the flag. And Leo is somewhere down here. I don't know where. But he doesn't feel like coming out now. Oh well. Well, I've hit 10 minutes, so I'm done. And now everybody has seen my cat, or at least a couple seconds of him. Anyway, I'm Eric Spornitz. This was March 2nd, 2018, and tomorrow will be better.